Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, coming to you 6 days a week as we interview whitetail experts and hear their traditions and personal stories of the hunt. Learn more about the latest gear, discover proven tips, and the latest strategies so you can make your next hunt a success. Now, here's your host, Bruce.
Hey folks, we got a new sponsor. It's called Buckwild Coffee. What's so special about Buckwild Coffee? Well, a gazillion people go to Starbucks every day and drink coffee. Well, why shouldn't Buckwild Coffee offer you light, medium, or dark roast with free shipping? All you have to do is go to whitetailrendezvous.com, go to shop, and order your coffee, and I'll ship it out for free. Hey, thanks so much for visiting Buckwild Coffee. The best brew in the West, the best brew around the campfire, the best brew in the hunting shack, the best brew anywhere. Buckwild Coffee. Get yours today.
Hutchin.
Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. And this week, actually last Saturday, I got a shout out. We blew up downloads. I went over 4,000 downloads for the first time ever in our career. So thank you, all the listeners that are pumping up Whitetail Rendezvous. And I couldn't do this thing without you. And I couldn't do it with AB3 Adam Bryant III. Now, he has Bryant Land Brand, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So, AB3, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bruce. Thanks for having me.
Hey, and just to let you guys know, guys and gals, he reached out to me, so you don't have to wait for me to invite you or connect with you on Facebook. If you think you got some stories, if you got some great lessons learned, if you're one kick-ass whitetail hunter, reach out to me at whitetailrendezvous@gmail.com and say, hey, Bruce, I want to be on your show. I want to share some insights. Let's do it, because this show's about people. Good friend of mine, Bianca Jane, her humble hunt, had a great article on Instagram the other day, and it was all about, we're in this thing together. It's all common ground, and when they're sitting around the campfire, job titles and checkbooks go out the window, and we just sit around and we talk about hunting. So that's what we're going to do this evening with AB3, and let's start off with Bryant Land Brand. What the heck is that, and where's it going?
So, real quick, Bruce, before I tell you about that, so let me tell you a funny thing about Bianca. When we were in the world, I was at the old World Deer Expo. I just went around, was walking around and stuff, and I recognized her from Instagram because we follow each other and been going back and forth and stuff. So she was just walking down like an aisle or whatever, and I was kind of walking, and then we ended up walking beside each other, and then I just kind of looked, and it's like, Bianca? And she was like, hey, I know you. I was like, official Bryant Land? Yeah. And then she just gave me like this big hug and like the loudest like scream in the middle of the aisle at the World Deer Expo. And that was like the first time we'd ever met each other, the first time we'd ever talked, other than, just back and forth on Instagram. So I thought that was just pretty funny, just to meet her like that, because she was kind of on her way, minding her business, and I was kind of minding my business. And then I just looked over and saw her, and she was like, yeah, and then she just started screaming. So it was fun, though. She's an awesome person, and I had a good time talking to her at the World Deer Expo.
And, folks, if you haven't listened to her podcast, Her Humble Hunt, Hunting Healing, and it's a two-part stories, and the lady was crying on part of it and laughing on the other part, and we had a good time. But take a look at that, because that's one lady that hunting, and we're going to talk about why we hunt, but she told her story in such a way that you got to think about what hunting is and what it isn't. And sometimes it's 180 out of what people think it is, because it isn't just about putting game on the ground, which we all love to do, but it's more than that. And so listen to Bianca Jane, her humble hunt, and you'll figure it out. At least I hope you do. Thanks for that. Thanks for that segue. Thanks for that segue. So let's go back to Bryant Land Brand, and let's unpack that a little bit.
Yeah. So Bryant Land was basically something that I've been kicking around in my head. My background is in sports television. I've been in broadcast television and sports television for over 20 years. My daytime job is a sports television director. I direct live TV sports for Fox, ESPN. Right now, mainly for the Milwaukee Bucks and the Milwaukee Brewers. I travel with those teams and then do their television broadcasts as a director. So that's basically where my background came in. And then I got into doing outdoor stuff just naturally. I grew up in the country on a dirt road. I've always wanted an ATV. So I finally got a chance to get an ATV and riding ATVs and just being in the outdoors. That led me into wanting to learn how to bow hunt. And I ended up learning how to bow hunt. I killed a hog. Then I went out, harvested a deer, harvested turkey with a bow. So I just kind of fell in love with it. Same thing with duck hunting as well. And tying it all back to the media side, it's like, I would start playing around with cameras and stuff, recording, just some things with my hunts, recording animals and stuff like that. I was just like, wow, it would be really cool if I could tie all this together into like my own, something that I can kind of put my stamp on. So I started doing research and looking around and started looking at hunting TV shows and stuff like that. And they were really cool. They were really exciting. And some of them, they do tell stories, but they basically tell stories that with the, basically ending in, whether or not they got the harvest or whether or not they made the harvest. So I saw a lot of that. And again, just trying to figure out how I can develop something that I can put my own stamp on. And, I wanted something with my name because eventually, I want to be able to pass this down to my kids, especially if they have an interest in broadcasting or storytelling. So that's how I came up with Bryant Land. And we just started putting stuff together, shooting videos, finding stories. And what I found out in telling stories that, it's not always about the harvest. There are people that come to this sport differently. There are people that look at it as a sport. There's people that it's a 100% way of life and they provide food for their families and stuff. But in the middle of all that, you have, one spectrum where it's just a sport and then another spectrum where people, it's their life. There's a lot of stuff there in the middle. So Bryant Land is about finding the stuff in the middle and finding the interesting stuff in the middle and the funny stuff in the middle and the entertaining stuff in the middle and then packaging it all together and then presenting it to everyone.
You got that, folks?
I know. That was a long-winded answer to a short question.
So if anybody's watched a hunting show, a 30-minute hunting show, there's probably 15 minutes, 18 minutes, and correct me at AB3, any place along the line. I don't know how many minutes are in of actually film are in the show because you get sponsors and all that.
22 minutes of content, 8 minutes of commercial time, usually.
So 22 minutes. So you're trying to tell a story of a hunt. So I roll up to Eddie's farm, unpack the truck, put my stuff in the bunkhouse, go have supper, get up in the morning, go hunting, and then hunt for 3 or 4 days. And I might get something, I might not. And typically, correct me if I'm wrong, you get the harvest, you get the kill shot first, then you do all the B-roll. Is that kind of how it is?
From what I've seen, and then you get your B-roll and stuff along the way too. You may get some shots traveling, you may get some shots, sitting around the camp, getting your gear ready, that kind of stuff. And then hopefully you go out and you're successful and you get your harvest on camera, which is not a easy task. Just from the few times that I've tried to do it myself. But yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. And then you take it back and then you edit it and you put it together and you craft a story.
And that's why, hunting stories are hard. And after you watch a couple hundred of them, they're very similar. The only thing that changes for me is the environment. If you follow Jim Shockey around the world, which he's hunted around the world, then you're seeing different places. And that's interesting. But, one oak grove or one, bean field, I don't care where it is. It all kind of looks the same to me. And I'm being critical, and I guess, rightfully so. But, how do you make it entertaining, for the viewers? And that's going to be so hard for the people making the shows. I give you all the credit in the world, because to compress and create a story in 22 minutes, it's got to be so difficult. Your thoughts?
And that's why, like, when I first got into this, filming hunts, basically that formula, that was something that I've been very adamant about staying away from, as far as like that being the sole purpose. One, it's very hard. God love the people that do it. The people that do it, they do a great job of it, but it is not an easy task. It looks easy when it's finished, but it is not easy, like you said, to put that together. So for me, doing this and doing it basically part-time, because I still, I have my regular job, my full-time job. I wanted to do something, one, that it would be really good, but two, would be something that wouldn't be as taxing, because what people don't understand about those guys that are able to put together those really, really good hunting shows, all those hunts don't happen, or all that footage doesn't happen from one hunt. They're hunting 12, 13, 14, 15, however many times up, big professionals, they're probably hunting, way more than that. I don't have that kind of time, because I have a family and I have a job and all that kind of stuff. So to me, it's very hard to do that. And like I said, the people that do it, they do a great job. What we try to do is, like I say, find stuff in the middle. Perfect example. I was connected to a mutual friend of one of my Gamecock Club members. I went to the University of South Carolina, and one of our Gamecock Club Booster Club members hooked me up with one of the former players, and he hunts. And one of the stories that we talked about was how, like, it would kill him during football season and conditioning and drills, because he couldn't go hunting, because football season is right in the middle of hunting. And when he did go hunting, so many of the things that he learned in football helped him become a better hunter.
So like what? Like what?
Breathing. Biggest thing I remember from that interview he talked about was breathing technique. Because he was a running back, and he was saying, like, when you go through in your warm-ups and, pacing yourself and making sure you got good breathing and things like that during warm-ups and before going into the game, that translated in the deer stand. You want to remain calm, have a good breathing technique right before you get ready to squeeze the trigger or pull, let your arrow go on your release. That was one of the biggest things I remember from that interview. And then obviously just conditioning, hunting down south, you're going through thick pine forests and hardwoods and swamp bottoms and stuff. And then you don't know how long of a walk you may have to get to your stand, because, it's so thick or whatnot, and just being in conditioning from football and keeping himself in conditioning to be able to go out and hunt like that.
Okay. Sorry for the interruption.
No, that's fine. But those are the things, to me, I find interesting, and I think other people as well find interesting, because you can turn on, your favorite outdoor channel or outdoor media webpage or whatever, and you can find people sitting in tree stands whispering about killing 140, 150-inch deer all day long. Again, nothing wrong with that. God love the people that do that. But for us, we wanted to do something different and dig a little bit more deeper in that before you actually got to the tree stand.
Yeah, the journey.
Right. Exactly.
That's the kick I'm on now, because the deeper I go into why we hunt, and this is going to be a good segue. Why we hunt is, I hunted, and I'm looking at a picture, 53 years ago. My first hunt, we killed 4 bucks, on the family farm, my buddy's family farm. And that was back in Wisconsin along the Bear River in 1966. And so you think about that and you go, holy Fred, I knew nothing. And there's a deer, bang. That was it. There's a deer, bang. There wasn't any horns. It was browning down. And the thing about it then, and this gets into the hunting tradition, for me, is that I came out of New York. My dad didn't hunt. Fortunately for me, when I was a young kid, we had a neighbor where I grew up in Rhode Island before I moved to New York. And he took me out. He just changed my life forever. I mean, I caught trout and trapped raccoons and shot grouse and rabbits. And I mean, it's just everything. And it was just, there it is. I was living, the story of outdoor life, Old Man and the Boys, an old article that they used to have. And that was it. I loved that. And then you start reading and you start journeying, in your mind, you go to some of these places in the Yukon or on Ungava Bay or Alaska, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, as an older man, I was standing there. Now, that's the journey. I mean, how's a young kid, left home at 17 and standing on, top of a mountain looking down at his mountain goat that he just dumped, down a ravine. I just laughed. I had to be crazy. The guide one was crazy because the retrieval, we got him out. I mean, but it was a shoot. It was just a complete shoot. And we had, hands on the walls and feet on the walls. And that's how we get down. We just chimney down and chimney back up.
Wow. But
And
that's
that.
part of it though. That's
but that's a journey.
Right.
That's
you still remember that till this day. So.
Oh yeah, I'll never forget that because I'm going, I could die. Real easy. Well, no, but I mean, you laugh, but that's part of it, and it's the journey. And I think more people, I hope everybody's listening, talk about the journey, talk about the stories, and that's. I better shut up because AB3's got a heck of a lot more stories than I do. But
well, I'm just getting started.
Yeah. But that's what we're doing here tonight. We're telling stories, and that's why we hunt. For me, it's the stories that go on for days because I've been at it for so many years. And I've had some hunts that I left a 10-day hunt in 5 days. I just told them, take me back to the airport. I'm out of here. Why? Because it wasn't good, and you don't get a refund for that. You pay your money. And you go, and all of a sudden, and and I don't care who you are, how much experience, when you know it's going bad, stop. Just stop the music and get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah.
That's my advice. If it goes bad, just say, get me out of here. And I'm done. Just, this is not where I need to be, and just chalk it up.
Right. And that's, the thing for me, like, it's fun. And I have to force myself sometimes to remember that it's fun because I get my director brain going and it's like, okay, well, I'm going to shoot this. I'm going to put this camera here. I'm going to do this and do that. Or I'm, got to edit this or edit that because I got, interviews and stuff that I need to edit or whatever. And it's just like, nope. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go outside. I'm going to put my target out. I'm going to put my deer target up and I'm going to stand 20, 25 yards. And there's that deer. Make sure you make a good shot the first time. That's the deer that's out on your property, or that's the deer that you're going to shoot in Illinois or in Wisconsin or hopefully in Kansas one day or something like that. Something to bring me back to the fun and the relaxation of it. So I forced myself to do that a lot of times.
So why do we get all wound up? Talking about why we hunt. Why do we sometimes just get completely wound up? And it becomes, a Colin McGregor, cage fight. What's up with that?
I think there's, a lot of people like to talk about, how competitive they are. They're very competitive, very competitive. Like I'm not one of those people that goes around beating my chest about being competitive. But sure, when you're in the stand or you're in the blind, you want to come away with something. I listen to people all the time. And they're like, well, it's about the hunt and it's about, being outside and stuff. And it is. It is. And you enjoy being outside. But at the end of the day, all hunts are better when you walk away with whatever you were harvesting, whether it was whitetail, whether it's duck hunting, turkey hunting, whatever. And I think sometimes we get so charged up on, okay, I want to kill this buck or, I want to harvest this bird or I want to make sure I make my limit. And then you just kind of lose focus. I think it's just the competitive nature and you want that good feeling because it's a great, it's a great feeling when you take down that buck that you want to take down, or when you limit out, or when you make that great shot on a hog or on a turkey. I think
Yeah.
sometimes those feelings get, it blurs it. You get crossed up.
Yeah, and I still get juiced up. I've killed a couple of critters, and sometimes my hands are shaking so bad I hand my tag to another guy with my knife because I don't want to cut myself. I said, "Will you notch this sucker out?" No, literally, they're looking at me going, "What is your problem?" Just I'm excited about being here and doing this, and I don't want to hurt myself.
Right. Because it is exciting. I mean, I remember when I took my first hog, my son was with me. We went on a hog hunt down in South Georgia with dogs, which I recommend. If you've never hunted hogs with dogs, you have to do it. It's one of those things that it just has to be done. But I still remember it like it was yesterday. I mean, we were there, we had such a great time. And then at the end, just taking pictures. And I mean, he still talks about it. He still asks me about it. On the flip side of that, there are times where we went deer hunting on our property and we sat in the blind and we just had conversations or just hanging out or whatever. And we've had a great time doing that. We didn't shoot anything, didn't even attempt to shoot anything, maybe saw one deer or two and, she got spooked and took off or whatever, but we still talk about it. So like I said, you do have to kind of force yourself to remember that it is fun and that you're having a good time. But man, there's nothing like the feeling of making a great shot on an animal, especially with a bow. For me, that's a great feeling.
So why do you hunt?
Simply put, I hunt for just the fun and relaxation. I've been blessed to make a pretty good living. So I'm not, hurting that, I have to or have the pressure of, okay, I got to harvest this many deer, or I got to harvest this animal so we can, have something to eat or whatever. For me, this is total relaxation. It is total fun. Like I picked up a bow for fun. I go bow hunting because it's fun, because I enjoy it. And, I want to kill or harvest, like a big mature buck or whatever. But when I'm out in the woods and, just with my bow and stuff and then getting to see animals and be able to possibly take a shot on one. I mean, it's just pure fun. It's pure relaxation. Get away from everything. Like nothing, when you're in the woods, nothing else matters. Like all the stress from work, bills, whatever, all that stuff goes away. As Mike Tyson used to say, it fades into oblivion.
He put a lot of people on oblivion. That's for sure. Oh, yeah, he's some specimen. I saw him a couple of times in Vegas at the airport. Just one specimen of mankind. That's for sure.
Yes.
Oh. One big dude. So let's go from why you hunt to the hunting tradition. And in the warm up, you said it wasn't the traditional, went to the cabin in the north and grandfather on down and that whole thing. So what's your story?
So basically, again, like I said, I grew up on a dirt road in South Carolina. So I was, seeing deer, seeing, animals, snakes, all that stuff. So that wasn't new to me, but the hunting part wasn't something that we did. Like my father wasn't a big hunter. I came to find out a couple years ago, that my grandfather actually was a big deer hunter. I didn't know that because I didn't meet my grandfather. He passed away, before I was born, but just talking to some of my other relatives, they was just like, yeah, it's probably in your blood because your grandfather was a big deer hunter. I was just like, oh, well, who knew? But I didn't know that before. And it was strictly, kind of like a process. Like I started out, I got an ATV. I started riding ATVs and going on trail rides and riding ATVs in different places. And then I was, got fascinated with a bow, got fascinated with bow hunting and was like, okay, this is pretty cool. And it's something about, having the skill of trying to bring an animal close to you and being able to take them, with a bow as opposed to like a rifle or something. So then I went from bow hunting, getting excited about that, to duck hunting and waterfowl hunting. And then from there, just hunting different animals with a bow, whether it's a turkey, whitetail, hogs. So it's kind of like a progression. So the tradition part, like I said, wasn't ingrained in me like, okay, this is what we do, but going forward, growing up or as I continue to get older rather, it's something that I plan on to continue doing. And I bring my son, when we can, when time permits. He doesn't work with his bow as much as I would like him to, because I try to shoot at least, if I don't shoot every day, I at least try to shoot 3 or 4 days a week. But he loves to go out with me. He loves to, film with me. He'll operate the camera with me when we're out there, and we just have a good time. So
that's great, because you're establishing your own tradition, actually.
Right, and that's like I said, as I get older, because and it's funny though, because the flip side of that is my daughter wants no parts of it. Like my daughter celebrates when we come back.
Whitetail Rendezvous is pleased to announce a partnership with GoHunt.com. Who's GoHunt.com? Well, if you're a DIY hunter, you need the information at GoHunt.com/insider. Why? Because it provides 4,200 profiles, every unit, every species, and every season. Furthermore, they give in-depth analysis, interactive maps, unit access, and seasonal trends. Draw odds are very important, and they give you the most accurate information in the business. All this is available when you go to GoHunt.com/insider. Make sure you use promo code WR when you join Insider. You'll get a $50 gift card for GoHunt.com Gear Shop. All in all, if you're hunting out west in 2018, GoHunt.com Insider is where you need to be to get all the research information. When you use promo code WR, Whitetail Rendezvous receives a small commission from GoHunt.com.
And we didn't harvest anything. So she loves the deer. The only thing that she likes to fish, and she advocates predator hunting. When we go out and we try to get rid of the coyote, she's very much a fan of that. But otherwise, she has nothing to do with it. But she also, I find funny that she wants nothing to do with it. But whenever it comes time to eat, she's one of the first people with her plate. So.
So she'll eat venison and hog or gator or whatever.
Oh yeah. Hogs, alligator, frogs, frog legs, a gator tail, pork chops. I take ground venison and make stuffed shells, meatballs, all kinds of spaghetti, all kind of stuff. She's right there. She's all about it. So maybe one day I'll get her to come out with us.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time. That's for sure. So tell me about your whitetail hunt last year. You said you hunted Wisconsin?
Yep, went Wisconsin. Trying to remember the town. Central Wisconsin. Or actually, no, Upper Wisconsin. Stanley. That's where it was. It was up in that area, okay. Stanley, Wisconsin. That was fun. I went with an outfitter. Just went out there. Great time just sitting in the stand, talking. It was actually a guy that I had known for a couple of years. It's like the second or third time I had hunted with him because our taxidermist recommended him. And, so we've gotten together over the years. It was just fun. You just go out, have a good time. Like I said, you sit around, you tell stories. He guides, so it's funny to listen to him talk about, like all the things he's seen as a guide and like what clients come in and what they do and the good things they do and the bad things that they do. And then of course, at the end got to harvest a really nice, whitetail, Wisconsin whitetail. So it's fun. It's definitely one of the upsides of being in Wisconsin during the worst weather time of the year.
Yeah, the weathers get kind of nasty and that's it. And, did you see a lot of deer, or did the wolves kind of mess up?
Yeah, no, we saw a lot of does. Saw a lot of young bucks just kind of, cruising around, meandering around. Fawns, but it's funny because you go to Wisconsin, being hunting here in Georgia and hunting in South Carolina. They always kind of give us a hard time down here because in those areas in Wisconsin, you have such big, full frame mass deer, like even not only the antlers, but just like body size, even on the does, like they're just, studs, so to speak, compared to deer down south where, they don't pack on as much weight or whatever, because of the climate. But just to see those animals out there, and to see the differences is just remarkable.
Yeah. Have you ever hunted up in Canada?
No, I haven't had good experience with Canada for work. So
Okay.
I've got food poisoning in Toronto.
Oh no.
But I don't know. I'm kind of curious about whitetail hunting in like Saskatchewan and like British Columbia, because I've seen the shows or seen videos and stuff of people up there, and those deer are just.
Whoa, what's going on with our sound? What happened? Are you good? Your mic's going.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
It was going crazy. Yeah, what I was going to say, I've hunted Wisconsin for a very long time, and, maybe a 200-pound buck was the biggest I've killed. I'm just trying to think back. He was pretty big. And then when I got to Saskatchewan, they told me, do not shoot the first big deer you see, because he's going to be bigger than any deer you've ever seen. And like a yearling steer, 280, 300 pounds. And then his rack looks so small.
Wow.
I took a small, 150 class buck who was pushing 300 pounds, and he just waddled. He was all shoulders, and it was just like, don't even mess with me, dude. It was just like, oh my goodness.
Did you take him with a bow or a rifle?
My rifle. Take him with my rifle.
Wow.
But that's the thing that everybody warned me about. They said, you're going to see the biggest deer of your life. And it was no lie. The biggest buck I saw, it was evening, and he was in a bean field, and we were driving out. And he was just, I don't know how, he was way over 300 pounds. And his rack was monster. But it was just like, oh my goodness. So double the size, you triple the size of your deer down south.
Wow. And see, that's the thing. Like, I've been looking at some places in like Illinois, and then like Kansas and Missouri and places like that. And, just reading a lot of information, they were like, not so much like don't shoot the first deer you see, but it's just like, we've let our bucks age and, they're mature and stuff like that. And I'm thinking like, oh my goodness, like, obviously you wouldn't want to shoot, like one of the younger ones or whatever, if that's, their regulation or that's their rule. But it's just like what looks like a young buck in like Illinois or Wisconsin, to me down here is just like a full, like mature buck. I've posted pictures. I've made the mistake, if you want to call it a mistake, of posting pictures of some of my deer in like hunting groups and stuff, and they're like, oh, well, that's a yearling, or oh, give him another year. And I'm sitting there looking at that deer. If I see that deer, he is going down, because he looks great to me. But so yeah, I don't know. It's something that I've been working on too, just trying to get better. I actually found a good article with talking about how to age deer on the hoof and stuff like that. So I mean, stuff like that I'm still trying to learn and just understand and get better at.
Yeah, a shout out for QDMA. If you're not a member of QDMA, just become a member, because in their magazine every month there's 3 or 4 deer and it says age this deer, and then they have 4 or 5 guys age the deer and give the reason why it isn't. Because one of the best deer I've ever killed, he's sitting over my shoulder. One of the prettiest deer, I guess. He's a perfect 10-point. His brow tines are over 6 inches, and just a absolutely dropped that gorgeous deer, and I killed him too young. I mean, if I had let him grow on that farm, he would have been easy Boone and Crockett, because he's 132, as a young deer, as a 2.5-year-old deer.
Wow. And that is nice. Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, that deer's nice, though. I don't know if I would have let that one walk either.
I just, it was just the prettiest deer I've ever seen, and nobody's ever seen that deer has said anything but, what a pretty deer. And, that's why he's on the wall. I mean, because he's the prettiest deer. His frame was everything. He was just a young deer, and Iowa has huge deer. But since I took him, would I take him again in the right place? I would shoot him again.
Right.
On that same farm, I wouldn't. But if I'm in Wisconsin on our farm, there's no question.
Mm-hmm.
The sucker's going down.
And that's one of the things that I found very interesting. Just I don't know if I want to say backlash. Maybe backlash is kind of strong, but I'm just saying the very strong opinions that people have on what other people should shoot as far as what they consider, a good deer or an old deer or a mature deer or something. That's very interesting to me because I'm in a lot of chat groups and hunting groups and stuff, just mostly for entertainment and to learn stuff. But it's just interesting, like some people are just like, well, you can't do that. You can't shoot that deer. That deer was da 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 da. And then guys will post their deer or whatever, and they'll be like, you can just tell they're just super, super proud of it. And then, first couple of comments, congratulations. And then probably about 10 or so comments down, oh, well, he looks kind of small, or he looks like he only scored, whatever. And it's just like, let the man be happy or let the lady be happy. Like, why is this such a big, hubbubaloo about that? I don't know. I don't even know if people say hubbubaloo, but it's just something you made me think about when you were talking about that deer. So
yeah, and we hunt. Part of it is because it's look what I did. I was successful. A lot of people need success in their life, and I was talking to an educator earlier for CRCS Outdoors, and he's got a great secondary education program for kids. And he says one thing that he's seen is that kids don't have a lot of opportunity to be successful in the light of older adults. And so hunting is one thing that he sees when one of his students goes out and harvests and kills or puts down, a whitetail buck. All of a sudden that kid lights up because he did something. He was successful at it. Now, if you play in athletes, when you crunch a tackle or you catch the pass or do whatever, you accomplish something. Same right. thing, any sports. When you pin the guy or get pinned, whatever, you're in the mix, you're in the game. But so many people today, because of technology, in my opinion, they're competing against a digital foe, if you will, and they can feel some sort of success, but it's not the same visceral as you and I feel when we harvest a deer, when we put a deer down.
Yeah,
it is just not the same.
But I mean, I don't let that, stop me or whatever. I just find it, interesting. And, there's a whole, like you said, thought process of why, people are the way they are or whatever. But I don't let that stop me. I still enjoy going out in the woods. I enjoy, shooting my bow. I call it bow therapy whenever I get a chance to shoot my bow. Even in Wisconsin, like I said, I live 6 months of the year in Wisconsin when I'm working in just a little small apartment. And, I got a nice hard block target 7 yards away, right down the hallway. And I'll stand there for 20 minutes and shoot my bow in the hallway if I don't feel like going out to the range or whatever, just to keep my form or whatever. So I love it. It works for me.
So recruitment, what are you doing and how are you using Bryant Land Brand for recruiting new hunters or new people to the outdoors?
So one of the things that we've done the last 2 years, we've done 2 trade shows here in Georgia. And from what I can see when young kids stop by our booth, if they're not already into it, just seeing like me or my son or my daughter or whatever, and just talking to them, their faces light up. And we had the good fortune this year at that trade show being beside I think it was like a church nonprofit that their whole thing was taking fathers and sons and fathers and daughters out hunting. So the people that stopped at their booth would stop by our booth, and it was just like continuing the conversation that they already had. So that was one of the things that I found really interesting and that I really enjoyed. One of the things that we want to do going forward, we're not there yet, but what we want to do going forward is just have like camps and start working with different like archery shops and stuff like that, to have like camps to get more people into archery, get more kids into archery, and get more kids into bow hunting. That's something, on the long range goal list of Bryant Land that I want us to be part of.
Good for you. That's great. Hey, at this time in the show, I ask everybody the same question. So here you are today, and you hunt and go out there and mix it up. What do you know today that you surely wish you knew 5 or 10 years ago?
From the, I wish I would have got into this a lot earlier. That's the biggest thing that I look back at a lot of times. It's like, man, I could have been having so much fun. Like if I could have gotten into this, 5, 10 years ago. But, everything happens for a reason, and, timing, or at least that's what they say, everything happens for a reason. But that's probably the biggest thing, is that I wish I could have got into this earlier. I've met some tremendous people. I've had a chance just be exposed to different things. I'm not a big world traveler person. Like I don't have like the urge, to go to different parts of the world or whatever, but traveling for work and then going back to these places to hunt it's opened my eyes up to so much in it, and it's been so much fun. So I wish I would have gotten into it, earlier. Like people, talk about going to the beach and stuff. One of my best days is sitting in the tree stand in Wisconsin, and it was cold. And I don't like the cold, but it was cold. But just the scenery and the snow and seeing the does and stuff playing in the snow, and then having that big deer walk by right before, I was able to put a shot on him. Just things like that, being able to travel and hunt these different places in the United States. So I wish I would have known about it earlier. I wish I would have got into it earlier so I could have enjoyed it earlier.
Yeah, well said. And, I'm sitting here, thinking 1966 and 2018, long time.
Wow. And me personally, I'm a person that has a lot of respect for longevity. Whether it's, longevity, listening to guys talk about, how much whitetail hunting they've been doing, or listening to other directors, that have had longevity and, in sports television. I respect longevity because anytime that you can do something that you like, for that long period of time, that is a wealth of knowledge. And to be able to tap into that knowledge, I mean, it's just invaluable, and it's something that I enjoy doing. So when you say 1966 to now, I mean, golly, there's no telling what kind of stories and tales and deer that have went from 115 to 140 and all those years and stories and stuff.
Yeah, and I'm still alive to tell it.
Right. That's the best part.
Yeah, and I'm still, it's still blessed to be on planet Earth. And October 30th, 2017, I rolled my truck 3 times.
Oh, how'd you do that?
Black ice.
Yeah. Dang, in October. Well, yeah, in Colorado. Yeah. God.
No, I was in Wisconsin, crossing the Chippewa River just north of Eau Claire.
Oh, geez.
Heading to my friend K.O. Farms.
I was going to say, were you headed on a hunting trip?
Oh, yeah. I was meeting him for breakfast because we had this one buck. I mean, just a gorgeous, mature 10-point, very, very, very nice buck. And we were going to hunt. We were going to hunt him, and we were going to team hunt him because we sort of kind of knew where he was. And so we were going to actually team hunt him. And I never met it. I never made it to breakfast.
Golly. To survive that and to be here and keep doing what you're doing, I mean, that's truly a blessing.
Well, yeah, but everything happens for a reason. I liked how you said that earlier. And, it's just like the show. It's to have guys like you on and just sharing stories and letting people know it doesn't matter when you get started. There's something special about hunting and spending time in a tree stand or a ground blind or being fogged in on the side of a mountain in British Columbia for 3 days. And fortunately, I brought a book because you couldn't see. You could see outside to take a pee, but you couldn't go more than 10 feet. Or who knows where you land up. But they don't quit. But you get along. I don't know Jim Shockey. I hope I meet him and can hang out with him like we're hanging out, and just the stories that he has. But Jim Shockey is just one guy, but there's thousands, if not millions, of men and women who go out there. They're on nobody's radar, but they've had the same experience you and I have had. Sitting in the tree stand, harvesting a buck, watching. Some of my best moments was sitting in Buffalo County on the ridge. There's the mahogany buck was there, 160 class buck. I knew he was there. I just couldn't get on him. And all of a sudden the snow squall comes through and the woods get silent, absolutely silent. And it's in the fall. It's just a snow squall. So all of a sudden all the color of the oak leaves and everything are just white. Then the squall goes through. Now the sun comes out and starts hitting it, and the snow starts dripping off these leaves, and you go, "Holy right, I'm in church." I don't know where you are. I don't know where you are. With your relationship with God, but I'm going, I'm in church because it was just there wasn't a sound, and then the mahogany buck didn't come out, but a whole flock of turkeys did, and they were scratching and doing that whole thing, and I went, I'm alive to see this. I mean, you can't. Even if you were sitting there with 5 cameras, you couldn't capture that. The way the light was bouncing off, the setting light, the hues, everything, you cannot capture it. It's impossible. And so you live it. And just like I tell the story now, you take me right back there and go, geez, just a beautiful, beautiful setting.
Right. And see, that's the thing. Just like, when we were talking earlier in the warm up about, like my turkey hunt and how I didn't get it all on camera and stuff at one point I was just like, I'm not worried about the camera. Like I'll remember that for as long as I'm blessed with my memory. Like I will remember everything about it. Like I can still see the ridge. I can see all 5 of them coming down. I can see all of them going back up the ridge after everything happened. Same thing in Wisconsin, like with, I haven't filmed any of my deer hunts, but I can still see everything vividly. And those are memories that, like I said, as long as I'm blessed with having my right mind, I'll remember that for as long as I live. And that's part of it. To me, that's one of the great parts of it.
So folks, if you're listening to this, we're going down a lot of rabbit trails today, but why we hunt, it's to be able to share these stories. And in some cultures, the only way history was transferred was through stories. It was, there's a word for it. I forget the word about transferring, historical facts through stories. But that's the way they were handed down, elder to, to son, to, to daughter, to everybody. And then, we don't do that. And I think that's one part of Whitetail Rendezvous is I want people to share their stories so other people share their stories. So when people come and ask why you hunt, all of a sudden you say, let me tell you a story. Not I've got to defend it because I eat what I kill. Okay. And we give $37 billion a year back to the economy, and Pittman Robinson funds, you go to that park. Well, Pittman Robinson funded part of that park or whatever. Right. We got the data, but can I tell you a story? Can we just sit down, have a cup of coffee, and can I tell you a story of how I was 9 feet from a grizzly bear?
Like the Revenant. I don't think I ever was. Wow. Ooh, man. But
that's what it's about. And it's about telling stories. And the more I'm convinced, for hunting, it's telling stories and seeing people's eyes get wide. And I've had some guys call bullshit, sitting in an airport, blah, 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 blah. And they go, no way. And I go, whatever. You just change. You talk about the Packers or something. Because they don't get it. It's okay.
It's not everybody's going to get it. Not everybody's going to, understand what it is you do. And, that's fine too. I mean, you were there, so.
Yeah. It's just crazy. Well, friend, AB3, I think it's time to wrap. Any last comments for the folks? Tell them how to get a hold of you. Tell them how to get a hold of you again.
So you can find us. We're on Instagram at Official Bryant Land. We're on Facebook, Bryant Land, and then our website, BryantLandCountry.com, and then we still have some things on YouTube if you punch in Bryant Land. But this year, the big thing that we're proud of is that have a lot of our programming. We're going to have 2 web shows, Waterfowl Warriors, which is a show we did last year on Facebook, and then another show, Outdoor Madness. Both of those shows will be available on demand on Gen 7 Outdoors. So we're very proud and very excited about that.
Yeah, and shout out for Jordy Blackwelder. Whitetail Rendezvous is also on Gen 7 TV. So
there we go.
You can find me any place. Like I said, I think I'm creeping over 300,000 downloads, and the show has grown organically. And, I just think that's bitchin'. That's a Southern California word. I used to surf in Southern California, so I can say bitchin'.
I'm familiar. That's funny.
But with that, go ahead.
I just appreciate you you having us on. This was my first time doing a podcast, doing an interview. Usually I'm the one behind the camera asking the questions. So this has been a lot of fun, and just thank you. And hopefully talking about building traditions, and 5-10 years from now be able to look back at this, and maybe we'll be at ATA together and we'll be telling more stories.
Well, I look forward to it. That's for dang sure. So with that, folks, have a great evening. Bruce Hutchin saying, hunt into the wind, or at least take a shower.
Hey, folks, we're heading out to Richmond, Virginia, and we're going to meet up with Sportsman Culture's CEO, Chris LaCivita. And Chris is heading to Virginia Tech, and yes, he's a college student, but he's been hunting since 10 years old. His dad got him out in the marshes and in hardwoods of the East, and he just loves duck hunting. He loves chasing whitetails, but he just loves the industry. And they've created a little company. They're going to have an apparel company, and they're going to put up some YouTube videos and do some home videos or self videos. So all that means that you will be able to get some great information from younger people, 18, 19-year-old guys with his crew, that they're going to, through college, keep Sportsman Cultures going. So having said that, it was a joy. Hey, folks, we got a new sponsor. It's called Buckwild Coffee. What's so special about Buckwild Coffee? Well, a gazillion people go to Starbucks every day and drink coffee. Well, why shouldn't Buckwild Coffee offer you light, medium, or dark roast with free shipping? All you have to do is go to whitetailrendezvous.com, go to shop, and order your coffee, and I'll ship it out for free. Hey, thanks so much for visiting Buckwild Coffee. The best brew in the West, the best brew around the campfire, the best brew in the hunting shack, the best brew anywhere. Buckwild Coffee. Get yours today. To meet with Chris, and it's a joy to talk to young men who are going to keep the hunting tradition going.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.